I grew up in a broken home. My parents divorced when I was 3 years old, and although I had a brother and a sister, I didn't really have that direction and discipline I needed as a child. I wanted to feel fulfillment, I wanted to feel happiness, and since there was so much contention, so much strife and fights in my household, I knew I couldn't find it there. My first step was to turn to the media. I listened to a lot of music that influenced me a lot. I watched movies and saw what they found. They found happiness in things like drugs, in things like alcohol, sex. So I found that that's where I needed to be in order to find that fulfillment that I wanted. So at a very young age, I became captive to these things. I started doing drugs, started drinking, following the ways of life that the culture taught me how to live. Next thing I know, I had no power to stop the things I had started. I was an addict. I was lost. I didn't know where to turn to. It's like I was a slave, and I was desperately looking for freedom. I can remember one day, I was with my cousin George. Now this man lived the same lifestyle I lived, and we were both captive to the same things. But one day I saw him and he seemed different to me. It looked like he had peace, he had joy, like he didn't have a care in the world. And when I inquired about it, how did he obtain this, I asked, and he basically replied, Jesus. Now, I really didn't know what that meant. I was desperate at that point. I mean, I was living a life that was leading to my death. So when he invited me to church, I figured, what do I have to lose? As I went, I heard the pastor preach, but honestly, I was a skeptic. So I went home that day and I started reading the Bible. And as I'm reading it, I found something that I never thought I would find. It basically said that Jesus died for my sins, that I could be forgiven, that I can have a new life, a life of peace and freedom. And it was all because of what Jesus did on the cross. I realized that I needed to make that same decision that my cousin made, and I needed to completely surrender to this God. So where am I at today? Ever since I surrendered my life to God, my life has never been the same. I'm not gonna sit here and say everything is great. I do still struggle. I do still have problems. But I can tell you that my life is a million times better than it was before. I'm no longer a slave to the things that once held me captive. I no longer go to the culture to teach me how to live. I know that now, in Christ, I have a new life, and I have peace, and I have joy, and I wouldn't give that up for nothing in this world. And whenever I have problems and tribulations come my way, I know I can go to the same person who saved me, and his name is Jesus Christ.
You might be feeling like there's a part of your life that's out of control and you can't change it even if you wanted to. But what have we learned today? We've learned that God does see you and what's going on in your life, and he does care about you. The truth is, God is able to save you no matter what's holding you back. God is bigger than the biggest thing you can imagine. He's the God of the universe and he has crazy power. But you know what's more crazy? He wants to offer that same power to you through his son, Jesus Christ. There isn't anything in your life that God can't change. All you got to do is believe in him and accept him to save you, and trust him to bring the good out of what seems bad. So what is that one thing that you want to be freed from today? Ask him to set you free, and let's just see what happens.